In this lesson, we'll look at the site and how it can influence our design. Now, first of all, if we look from far, we can see where the site is positioned. The two landmarks to note, first of all, obviously we have the river that the site is sitting on, and to our right, we have the Eiffel Tower, and to the left, we have the Louvre Pyramid, and then the Muséum d'Orsay is the one that looks directly onto the site itself. Now, if you remember from the previous lessons, the site is going to be a temporary floating barge, not necessarily floating in the real sense, but it's going to be grounded on the bottom of the river, so we can basically build a big heavy building on it, but floating because it's going to be just above the level of the water, looking as if it was a barge that was surrounded by water completely. Now, what we can have a look at already if we look from slightly closer, so we can see that the site aligns with the facade of the Muséum d'Orsay, mainly from this tower to this one on the right. The size of 150 meters is made to be more or less of the same size. So we want to create a direct relationship with this museum, and the site itself, or the expo, will be in conjunction with something happening in the museum. So that is just a figurative way that the brief has been created for us to have a little bit more meaning into our project. You'll see as well that the site does offer us the area where the road does basically sink down, so we have a lower access onto the site itself, whereas other areas around the river have a really high wall that basically retains it from the river. So there's limited access if the site was here. So that's why this position happens to be quite good. It's got parking on this side, and then obviously it still allows enough space for the current traffic to move past the site. So another thing that you can note with this, if we have a look at the next image, which is a Google image, all of these are from Google, by the way, they're not photos. And the thing to notice here is that north is pointing straight up, which means that this being in the northern hemisphere, our sun is coming from the bottom, so basically from the direction of the Muséum d'Orsay. So you want to really think about this in terms of your design, because the brief stated that no part of the building can exceed beyond this outer limit. We can exceed beyond the front, especially since we're going to have a bridge linking onto the site. But you want to think about the fact that if you have any glass or if you have any exhibitions, you want to have your outdoor areas on the sunny side, but as soon as you have your expo, it is much better to exhibit photos, any interior objects that are of a gallery style, having northern lighting. It's going to be the colder side, but it's going to be much more diffused, soft lighting, so that you don't have direct light coming into your building. So you can have a look as well at the access, which we've already mentioned, having this lower area here, which is shaded slightly darker. Remember that you have the relationship to the museum, and you also then have the viewing that will happen from all the different bridges as the cars and pedestrians move across. Now, the last little thing to note here, which we're going to use in the next lesson, is this little scale bar that has been copy pasted from the Google image itself. As you zoom in and out, you'll see that this little scale bar will update. So we're going to use this just to size up our site, and in the next lesson we're going to draw a very simple CAD plan of the site itself so that we can start modeling off that CAD plan, and then we're going to have this platform modeled for us so that we have a base to work on and start our design ideas. So all of the rest, the CAD and the 3D work, will happen in the next lessons. This was just to show you and go through the position so that you can see exactly where we're positioned in the world, what it's going to look like, and you can already, based upon the site, start getting some ideas as to how you might scale and design this building based upon where it's sitting. So hang on for the next lesson. We're going to get into the CAD plan of that site right away.